Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 10 of my audio adventures. Today, I am going to talk about digital audio workstations. And for your benefit, I brought up the wiki. So, a digital audio workstation is a mixing console, control surface, audio converter, data storage in one device. Couldn't have put it in better words, which is why I brought up the wiki. So, a digital audio workstation is what you are going to be using for recording all of your recording instruments, using synthesizers, using effects plugins. It's essentially an entire recording studio on your computer. And it has so many uses that it's really kind of hard to do without it. If you were to think about old style recording using uh, track tapes and things like that, it's essentially a digital version of that, simplifying the entire process and putting it all in one place. So you don't have to run the audio through several boxes that take up an entire room. Instead, it just takes up space on a hard drive. So I'm going to try and run you through the process of which DAW you should buy. So I'm just going to kind of run through a few key programs here. You'll see here that there's a large list of what's commercially available, what you spend money on, and there's also a list of free and open source systems that you can also download for free. I would suggest probably trying these out because they're free, and so you'll kind of get an idea of what it is that you're getting yourself into. And if you really don't need a whole lot, then it's probably a lot better just to go ahead and do this. If you're planning on doing a lot of commercial stuff, working for big companies, having a big recording studio, whatever, then you should definitely get one of these better systems. The other thing to keep in mind is when you do purchase a digital audio workstation, that you keep an eye on what the license agreement is. Some DAWs will come with will have two different prices. One is the usually the cheaper price is the license for buying it for personal use, and that's strictly for personal use. You can't really use it to sell anything. It's kind of the same for web development or computer game development. And then the more expensive price is to be able to use the software commercially. And the big thing is that some companies, if you do plan on doing something like that, will pay attention to whether or not your licenses are all up to date. Because if they're not, then they won't hire you. So let's move on to talking about some of these DAWs. So this is Audacity. Audacity is one of the freeware DAWs, and it's actually pretty cool. It was always suggested as a alternate recording software at Berkeley, and in case you didn't actually have a commercial DAW, like every teacher suggested this one as an alternate. And honestly, I can kind of see why. You can record multi-track. You can record the sound off of your computer, so you can record streaming audio. Don't pirate music. Just saying. You can import files, export files. Let's see. You can export MP3s, which is actually something Cakewalk doesn't do without spending money. You've got all the sound qualities that you need, as well as all different types of editing: cut, copy, paste, unlimited undo, crash recovery, which is cool, and then all kinds of different effects, including the ability to remove vocals. And then, and apparently they added the ability to put in VST plugins. So basically, there is nothing wrong with Audacity as a freeware piece of software. I would heavily suggest it, and it definitely looks like an amazing place to start. So this is Sonar X2. This is the digital audio workstation I use, and it has quite a few cool features. Oh, one more thing to kind of pay attention to. Every company is going to say that their DAW is the best. So obviously, if every DAW is the best, then every DAW is not the best. So just pay careful attention. Don't fall for the media tricks. So Sonar X2 um, has several different effects to it. Really kind of basic things. You're going to want to look at these yourself, um, because this is kind of where DAWs get uh, become the most different, is what effects they come with. Um, and then you're going to want to look at some of these features. Most DAWs are going to come with the same thing: unlimited audio and MIDI tracks. Most everything does that. And confidence recording is just another media trick. Metronome with subdivisions, so does most everything. Um, let's see. Yeah, the vast majority of these things is something that just about every DAW does. So nothing there that's really special. But things that you want to pay attention to are how editing works. Um, so, and this is actually kind of how I like doing my editing. Um, and then how the step sequences work, if it has one, how the tools work, what the mixer looks like. The Sonar X2 has a Pro channel, which is a analog emulation tool. Sounds like exactly what it is. It's got a compressor with a dial and everything. It's got an EQ that looks like it has all the knobs. It's just meant to emulate analog hardware. And then I haven't tried using RMix yet, but I think I should. It looks really interesting. Let's read what that is. Visualize stereo tracks and buses for unprecedented creative control. Fully automate and available. Oh, fully automatable and available on any track or bus. RMix employs Roland's innovative V remastering technology, letting you remove noise, isolate particular elements, or create unique and evocative filtering effects that demand attention. That's really interesting. I will have to look at that next time I am playing around with my software. Reverb, that's just another plugin. So yeah, you're just going to want to pay attention to what all the plugins are, and then what your exporting options are is also very important. Cakewalk doesn't let you export MP3s, or basically, it only lets you export WAV files or Windows Media files, unless you pay a little bit of extra money to get the ability to do those things. So, just something to pay attention to when you're looking at all the different DAWs. So this is FL Studios, it formerly called Fruity Loops. This is back when it was called Fruity Loops, and it was apparently an incredibly popular DAW. Nowadays, it still sees a lot of use, although I don't know how much without looking. So again, pay attention to what it says its notable features are, and then look at what its plugins are, and as well as what all it can do. Let's see, mix and remix, that sounds familiar. Multi-track audio recording, that sounds familiar. Record and play MIDI input, that sounds familiar. Synthesizer and effect plugin hosting, VST. That's another thing to think about. If you're planning on using a lot of third-party plugins, whether they're instruments or effects, make sure that whatever DAW you get can support it, which most everything supports VST plugins, so that's not really too much of a problem, but you still want to pay attention. And you're also going to want to make sure that you're either not doubling up on too many things if you're trying to use your money effectively. And if you're just going to use third-party plugins, then don't pay too much attention to what instruments you're getting or what effects you're getting or whatever. Like if you have this EQ that you just like better than anything else, then you don't have to bother with what EQ any of the DAWs use. So let's see. Recording wave editor, pitch corrector, arranging. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at a lot of the same that we saw with Cakewalk. It's just a matter of locating all those little things that all the DAWs do a little bit differently. And that is actually, I'm going to bring up now, a vast majority of DAWs, because of how expensive they are, um, people don't like to just buy them like outright and then discover that they don't like something. So most companies will give you the option to download a demo, and the demo is essentially just a full copy of the original software that you get to use for a set period of time. So I would suggest downloading demos and using them for a little while to get an idea of what it is you're getting into. Well, of course, it's going to take you probably a couple hours to download, but that's fine. It's totally worth it, especially if you find out that it's worth the $300 you're going to be spending. So I can't quite talk about DAWs without talking about Pro Tools. Pro Tools is essentially the industry standard. It is probably the most widely used digital audio workstation of choice, and that's because it's been around for a very long time. Long enough that just about every professional studio out there uses Pro Tools. And really, it's for a good reason. I mean, Pro Tools has been perfected to oblivion. It's got all kinds of plugins. It's got the best performance so far. If you ask all the people that use it. It's got all the different plugins that you'll need, and it supports VST plugins, and it's got all kinds of other features to it that I don't even know. And I don't know. I haven't actually seen it used all that much, so I can't really tell you much. And I'll get more into that in a second. So I mean, again, it's got unlimited tracks. It can export different types of audio files. It's got a smoother performance for your RAM. It's got stereo sound, surround sound, lots of control. So I couldn't get away with not mentioning Pro Tools because it is actually a very prominent bit of software that is on the market, and also has a free trial. So I would definitely try looking at this if you have the opportunity to, or if it's something you're interested in. I hear so much about it that I actually get a little tired of it, and so I like fighting the power and using Cakewalk instead. So the last thing I'm going to mention, I know that I didn't give as much information as some people would have liked, but I gave more information that some people would expect. So I'm going to close off with how to get more information, and that is YouTube. YouTube being the all-powerful source on the internet for all things informational. So you can find reviews on just about every DAW that I mentioned, plus others, and that's just by typing in reviews of whatever DAW you're looking for. So obviously there's tons of overviews and reviews of Sonar X2. Let's go ahead and type in FL Studio. And there you go, FL Studio, Pro Tools. And so you can use these as kind of a good reference. I just wanted to give you a starting point. This will give you a lot more of a foundation for what each of the DAWs do. Another thing to look at is the home recording forums. And this is a place where people that do home recording come to talk about recording of every variety, and that includes reviews of different digital audio workstations. So that makes this a good place for any questions that you might need, from what DAWs have what features that are good, to what hardware you might want, to what kind of computers you might want, to how you should place mics. This is just an overall good website for recording information. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative. And, oh hey, that's right. This also has separate forums for many of the different types of digital audio workstations. So, just a little extra thing that I just found out. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative. I hope it was helpful. And I will talk to you again in the future. Have a nice day.